Hi Aries, hope you're good. Welcome, thanks for joining me. Also, this is for Sun, Moon, Rising and cross watchers as well. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to tune into the energy of the cards now and tune into my guides as well. Okay, so what messages do we need to know for Aries? What's going on with Aries and their person, or who they're dealing with? What's going on with Aries? What do we need to know for Aries? Woo. First one out. Ah, you've got your card, look. There's your card, the Emperor. Okay, master of his own empire. Could be in charge of your own business. Standing your ground, setting boundaries. Look, in your power, that's your card, Aries. First one out, Emperor. He's all about order, you know. Tell me more about this Emperor for Aries. Okay, could be dealing with a fellow Aries, fellow fire sign. Okay. Any more, please? Tell me more about this Emperor. Okay. Ooh, okay, Queen of Swords. Yeah, someone here is definitely standing their ground and setting boundaries. Also, someone here could be quite demanding, cold and sharp with their words, because she's a bit of an ice queen. You know, she can be quite, like I said, demanding, cold and sharp, and she's quite independent and she doesn't need anyone. You know, she sets people straight. She stands her ground. This could be you, Aries. You might have the traits of an air sign, but you are standing your ground. That's what I feel here. Your person could be around an Aries. They could be around an air sign, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, you know. The Queen of Swords. She's not one to be messed with. You know, she doesn't take any nonsense from anyone. Someone's definitely standing their ground and setting boundaries. Could be, like I said, being cold with their feelings, quite sharp with their words. Tell me more, please, about this Queen of Swords. Okay. Tell me more about this Queen of Swords. Any more on this Queen of Swords, please, for Aries? Oh, okay, we've got the Hangman. Okay. Maybe somebody feels stuck in a situation and they need to surrender something, or look at something from a different perspective, different angle. You know, there could be delays in a situation and someone's getting frustrated. Look, they're not having it. Someone could be trying to get away from someone, such as third party situation, and someone's not having it and they feel stuck. You know, someone could be in a Zen mode. Okay, tell me more about this Hangman and this Queen of Swords for Aries. I feel this is your card. I feel that you're standing your ground. You're setting boundaries with someone because you might have, you know, had enough, and you're standing strong and you're in your power. Wow, you're in your power, Aries. That's really good. Oh, by the way, I know, I think it's recently, if I haven't said it already, happy birthday to Aries. Aries and Taurus, yeah. Hope you had a nice birthday. Okay. Okay. Death. Page of Swords. So we've got Gemini, Libra, Aquarius again. And then we've got Cancer, sorry, the card of Scorpio, that's it, yeah. Some of you dealing with a water sign, fellow fire sign, or an air sign. Someone here needs to surrender something and let something go. Someone here is being very guarded and cold and closed off with their words. Maybe someone's watching someone on social media. They feel stuck, stagnant, like they can't, you know, reach out. Someone could be waiting for something to be over, such as a world restriction lockdown, before they can go and see someone. Also, because of the Hangman and the Death card, it's like someone here needs to surrender something or someone. They need to cut their losses and let something go. Someone here could be resisting change. Hang on a sec. They're all trying to jump out here, Aries. Any more on this Hangman and Death? Tell me more about the Page of Swords. Someone's very guarded and closed off. That's how I feel. Yep. Could be you. Because if someone's lacking in honesty, and taking action. It could be you. You're standing your ground, you're setting boundaries. Look, you've got your guard up. Someone could be resisting change or accepting the inevitable. Any more for Aries? Whoa! Okay, it looks like something here has come to, or it is going to come to some sort of painful ending. Someone here could be going for a healing stage. They might need to heal within themselves, going through a purifying stage, a cleansing, healing a broken heart. Someone here could suffer with backaches, backstabbing, betrayal. Okay, so we've got the Star card. So we've got Aquarius. Again, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Yeah, definitely dealing with an air sign. Someone here feels like something is over. Something come to a painful ending. Could be a third-party situation. Okay, someone is afraid that someone here is doing so well without you, or someone, it could be you, it could be them. Someone is afraid that someone is doing so well without them that they've got no more room in their life for them, and that's why they're afraid to come forward and let their guard down. You know, someone's doing really well for themselves. Look, material things are good. Look, this is independent wealth. This is female empowerment. You know, you're doing really well. Your wishes have been fulfilled. You know, you're embracing nature. And I just feel someone is sad that something is over. And that's why they're feeling stuck. You know, someone likes nature. You've got earth energy here. Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo. You know, also this is about someone who's quite creative. You know, like I said, really sort of, you know, enjoying the fruits of their labour, their hard work, you know, very independent, you know, doing things for themselves. This could be you. You're quite hardworking, you know, you're headstrong, you stand strong, you're hardworking, you're resilient, you know, you're very dedicated, you're very passionate. Also, this could be someone that wants to heal a connection with you. This is wish fulfillment, remaining hopeful, remaining in top spirit, you know, good spirits, despite what's going on in the world. Yeah. Nine of Pentacles. Okay, someone definitely is all about the mental intellect here. It looks like somebody here wants to speak their truth. You know, they want things to be a success. It looks like that's what's going on here, victory, success. But also somebody who wants to bring truth and clarity to a situation. Be open, be honest, and not leave you hanging. Okay. Let their guard down, like I said. It's like someone here is very guarded. It's like they are going to let their guard down, look, and talk. You know, step in their power, heal. They want to heal a connection. Okay. Could be involved with an air sign, third-party situation. Someone here definitely wants to talk to you, or you want to talk to someone. It's like someone's going through something here. Look, could be spiritual awakening, spiritual growth, coming to terms with a sexuality. You know, could be same-sex situations here. You know, someone here is very spiritual, dealing with ebbs and flows, yin and yang. You know, healing waters. They do really want to speak their truth here. You know. Come in with their sword of truth. Look, it's like someone's waiting for the right time to let their guard down, and I feel that someone's watching you on social media and they're not sure. They're not sure. It's like you've got your guard up even. You know, they think it's over. Look, you're doing so well without them. You've achieved so much. You know, you're relishing, you're celebrating your achievements, your accomplishments. Everything's good. You've worked hard for yourself. You've created a good life for yourself, and then they just feel, is there still hope? Look, is there still hope here to put this right? If I come in with my sword of truth, you know, will he or she listen? Will they hear me out? Give me a chance? Someone here feels very inspired. They feel motivated. It's like someone is trapped in their own thoughts. Could be trapped in a third-party situation. So we've got the Eight of Swords. It's like someone is afraid to reach out, get burnt, get cut. You know, usually when there's a blindfold on the eye, it means that someone can't see straight, or it's because they don't want to see the reality because it's too painful, right? Eight of Swords is, you know, conflicted. You feel tied down, you feel trapped. You know, you don't know where you are. You know, there could be negative people around your person. You know, they could be trapped in, like I said, third party situation. Maybe they feel, or you feel, that you're not acknowledged, you're not heard, you don't have a voice. Maybe you want to call judgment here. You want to make an announcement. You want to stand your ground here, Aries. Yeah? Be in your power. And you are, because your card's there. Yeah? Even your person, they could be around a controlling fire sign or a controlling air sign. They feel trapped, restricted, look. Trapped in fear, in worry, subconscious mind. You know, maybe they need to gain some sort of mental clarity here. Because this is about what's going on, you know, internally. You know, their mental state might not be good. Tell me more about this Eight of Swords. This could be going on for 8 weeks, 8 months, 8 years. Yeah, someone's very, very heavily burdened, stressed out, anxious. They're carrying around too many burdens. They could be overwhelmed with love, with passion. You know, someone here is overworked. They're tired. 10 of Wands, look. It's like they're afraid, look. Or it's a pride thing, look. They'd rather struggle and work hard and work themselves, you know, to the bone than ask for help. Yeah? Someone here is very hardworking, very passionate, very dedicated. 10 of Wands, they're carrying too many. They need to release those burdens. It's too much baggage, it's too much. Yeah? Their mental state isn't good. A burden beyond one's strength. They're tired, they're exhausted. Someone could suffer with backaches. Yeah? Someone could have had an operation and they're healing. From, you know, they're in recovery from an operation. You know? It's like someone is praying for something to be over. Yeah? There's 2 10s there. Maybe they're finally going to admit defeat, surrender, look. You know, walk away from something that's not good for them. Release all these burdens. Okay. Any more on this 10 of Wands and this 8 of Swords? Someone's very, you know, conflicted eternally. You know? There's a lot of mental conflict going on. In a bit of a dark place. Just like the world, you know. The world's never going to be the same again, is it? Because of what's going on. Could be an ego. Maybe somebody needs to let go of an ego thing. Subconscious fears. That, you know, they're not in reality at the moment. Like I said. Yeah. See, look. 5 of Swords. See, they need to cut their losses. Look, they need to surrender to something. Someone here could be quite stubborn. Cut their losses, walk away. Yeah? Could be around a controlling air sign, a fire sign. You know, there's quite a few energies in this reading. They need to let something go, surrender. Look, let go of fear, let go of worry, conflict, third party situations, ego. You know? Definitely for someone's got a back problem. I need to surrender something. What do I need to surrender? Tell me more. I definitely feel that someone who's very stubborn. You know, something going on eternally. Something to do with mental state. That's what I keep hearing. Okay. Tell me more about the 5 of Swords. They feel, you know, trapped. They feel restricted. They feel tied down. They're in some sort of mental imprisonment. You know? There's something within themselves they need to address. That's what it is. Okay. Any more, please? Tell me about this 5 of Swords. Someone needs to put these swords down and stop running. Look. Stop resisting change. Surrender, look. Put the swords down. Someone is quite stubborn here. Okay. There's a lot coming out here, Aries. Someone here is definitely in charge of their own business. You know, building up a business, building up their empire. Headstrong, passionate, daring, you know. He's passionate, he's fiery. That's your energy there. Wow. The Emperor. Yes, see, look, and I said that at the beginning of the reading as well. Oh my goodness, look at that. Intuition's powerful, right guys? Sometimes my intuition is so powerful and so on point and so accurate, I actually scare myself. You know, and other people as well. You know, people are like, how did you know that? Are you psychic? I was like, no. My mum's like, how do you know that? You so many guesses and you think you say happens, and I'm like, no, it's just very intuitive. Okay guys, and I just said this as well, 5 of Pentacles and the Moon. See, someone is feeling left out in the cold, feeling stuck. There's poverty going on in the world. People are worried about being made redundant, their jobs, you know, icy times, tough times. You know, in a time like this pandemic, what's going on in the world? It's about perseverance, strength testing, right? Bringing in better things. Now, I did say that at the beginning, that someone here is being cold and sharp with their words and being cold with their feelings and leaving people out in the cold. Look, the Moon. We've got Cancer, Pisces energy. We've got Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo. See? Maybe somebody's afraid to leave somebody out in the cold. Third party situation. You know? It's like there's too much fear and there's too much illusion. Someone is stuck between what's real and what isn't. Now this has come up a lot recently when I've been doing personal readings as well. When someone's got a blindfold on, it's like they're either choosing not to see, or they're afraid because they don't want to see the reality of a situation because it's too painful. It could be what's going on in the world as well. You're worried about your business, if you're going to be made redundant, if you're going to have a job, if you know, money, finances, families. Someone is afraid, you know. So like I said, they're in some sort of mental imprisonment. Someone is leaving someone out in the cold, struggling financially, struggling, you know, maybe, yes. It's like someone here needs to see past the deception, get a grasp on reality, overcome fears, subconscious fears, doubt, anxiety, and not be so deceptive with their feelings and open up. But someone needs to restore their faith in humanity. Someone here could be a non-believer in hope, in faith, in wish fulfillment. You know, someone, like I said, it's like they're crying and reaching out but no one can hear them. They feel lost, out in the cold, lonely, helpless. You know, they've lost hope. They need to restore their faith in humanity. Yeah? If it's not you feeling like that, it could be the person that you're dealing with. But I feel that you're doing quite well here. So it might be who you're dealing with feels like this. Yeah? Instead of holding up the sword like that in their power, in their, you know, standing strong like that, the swords are like that. Sharp. Afraid to get cut. Afraid to get burnt. Conflict. Pain. Yeah? This worldly pandemic thing, or a third party situation, could be really affecting this person's mental state. You know, they can't seem to get a grasp on reality. There's so much illusion. Someone's indecisive, they're confused. You know? They don't know, none of us know. You just have to trust that powerful and better things are coming in. This coronavirus, you know? It's taken over the world. It's never going to be the same again. You know? No one knows. You can't see beyond delusion, beyond fear, because they're trapped in this mental imprisonment. Yeah? This is about things that are hidden. Maybe somebody's afraid to tell someone how they feel, to reach out, to pick up the phone, because they're afraid of rejection, of being left out in the cold. You know, I picked that up straight away. Someone is being cold with their feelings, sharp with their words, they're guarded. Look, you know, they've put someone out in the cold. They're protecting themselves. You know, they could have a reputation to hold up. You know, a business to protect, assets, finances. Yeah? So that someone here is very, very, very conflicted. Look, it's making them ill. Even. Yeah? And as I said, someone is afraid to reach out as well, because they feel that someone's doing so well without them. They feel, oh, has he or she got room in her life for me? You know, is it too late? Is she still interested? You know, this person's very conflicted, very trapped in this like mental prison. So much fear, worries, doubt. They're confused. They don't know what's beyond, you know, what's outside of the darkness. They're keeping you in the dark about their feelings. They're leaving you out in the cold. They can't take that blindfold off. You know, maybe they're teaching themselves a lesson to overcome the pain, to overcome the fear, the anxiety, the stress. You know, there's still lessons that need to be learnt before they can surrender and heal and put things in the past. You know, cut their losses, come in with their, you know, their sort of truth, the clarity and the power and the honesty, you know. Look, someone's carrying too much. They need to put something down. They need to surrender something. Look, there's too much conflict going on. Too much, you know, battles and war grounds, and someone's a bit of a perfectionist and overexhausted and overworked. 7 of Swords. See? Maybe somebody suffered betrayal, you know, got their heart broken in the past. Someone stole. They're afraid to open up. They're afraid to let their guard down because they're afraid the same thing is going to happen again. You know? 7 of Swords. Look. See? They're afraid. It's like somebody's got a frightened ego thing going on. You know? To embrace change, to have a new start, love, abundance, you know. They need to put something down. They need to surrender something. Their heart, their feelings, all this mental conflict, leaving a third party, you know, out in the cold, you know. Could be going backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. You know, this comes under deception with the moon. 7 of Swords. Deception. Where someone is egotistical and only thinks of themselves, and, you know, they need to put something down. Stop. They're resisting it. They're fighting it. Look. You know, it's like they're trying to break free, but they're not really trying to break free. You know, it's easier to just dwell in misery and worry and doubt. You know, they just can't get a grasp on reality. They can't or won't take off this blindfold, surrender something. Yeah. Someone here, like I said, needs to restore their faith in humanity. That's what it is. Yeah. They keep fighting it. They're fighting it, fighting it, fighting it. You know. They keep resisting, resisting, resisting. And that's why they feel stuck. See? That's why they feel stuck. They won't surrender. They just won't give it up. Yeah? They won't give up. If it's not you, it'll be who you're involved with. Or someone around you, in a home environment, a work environment. You know, some people that can't work from home, they have no choice. They have to go in. You know, if they're a key worker, if you deal with sick people, you know, you're a key worker, doctor, nurse, yeah? That's why this person is so stressed out, because they can't see straight, right? Maybe they won't acknowledge what's going on around them. They've got their guard up. Could be you, because you're fed up with the lack of honesty. Yeah? It's like, you know, when someone is not mentally competent, if you know what I mean. They're not in their right frame of mind. Their mental state is not good because there's too much fighting it. Look, resist, no, 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 no. You know, they're just fighting it. They just won't admit defeat. They will not surrender. They're very, very stubborn. And until they cut their losses, they're going to remain stuck between reality and, you know, what's real, what's not. It's like they're afraid to see something. And that's why they feel stuck. And you, Aries, I feel that, like I said, you're comfortable. You build up an empire. I feel someone's definitely in charge of their own business. You know, enjoying the fruits of your labour, like I said, feeling achieved, feeling accomplished. You could be quite closed off. Maybe a wish has come true for you. You know, whatever you've been working hard for, you know, you put your all into it. You're dedicated, passionate, you know, you really built a life for yourself, you know. You put your faith into the divine, put your faith into the universe, you know, and the universe gave something back. It stepped in and helped you, you know, to build for yourself, to manifest for yourself. Profit, gain, abundance, stability, joy. Like I said, you're enjoying the fruits of your labour. All that hard work has paid off. And now you can afford to, you know, some of you could even be retiring, if you can afford to do that. If you're of a mature age, you could be retiring, having a rest. Yeah? Alright, Aries. So I'm going to leave it there. Okay? Because I don't feel guided to pull any more cards. I feel that I've got all the messages now that wanted to come out from my guides and the universe. I hope it helped, hope it resonated, hope it was insightful. Let me know in the comments section. Okay, if you need to know anything, just give me an email and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you're new, give me a like, give me a subscribe, join my channel, and yeah, and I'll see you again real soon for some more readings, Aries. Peace, love and blessings.